Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so very much for tuning into the Everyday Sexy podcast with your host, yours truly, Stan Pearson II. Now, the Everyday Sexy podcast is where we do our best to help you improve your confidence, your business, and your relationships, so we can be better today than we were yesterday. Essentially, focusing on being a better version of ourselves. So, again, thank you so very much for tuning in. Now, if this is your first time ever being in contact with Stan Pearson or wondering what exactly is Everyday Sexy and how was it born, simply visit am-I-too-sexy-book.com. If you go to am-I-too-sexy-book.com, that's going to kind of give you a clue as to what it means and what is everyday sexy and what exactly is finding your sexy, because essentially that is what I look to do in my business practices, all of my promotional materials, all of my presentations. In some way, shape, or form, what I want to do is I want to teach people how to find their sexy from the inside out, because you understand very quickly that we do or don't do things based on two very simple principles: how we feel about ourselves and how we think other people view us. I'll say that one more time. Many times we do things based on two very simple principles: how we view ourselves and how we think or assume other people view us. That stops us from doing what we want to do. If we want to have a great time, sometimes we're looking over our shoulder wondering if someone else is going to have a great time with us. Growing up, I learned very early, my parents told me often, take your good time with you. You cannot turn down yourself based on what other people are doing. We can't do that. We live in a world where people may always do what's best for them. So sometimes, especially when it comes to, being your best, having the best time you could possibly have, it's taking advantage of those moments where you can be the best version of you and not turning down your good time for anyone. Now, this particular episode is going to concentrate very heavily on it. It's kind of funny because this episode in Everyday Sexy Podcast, we are talking about focusing on the haves. So I have a few different things that I'd like to discuss with you all and be extremely candid. Now, while we're focusing on the haves, I'll tell you that this is kind of like a birthday edition. I recently celebrated a birthday. So excited! I just had a great birthday, a great weekend. It was awesome. I mean, it was just awesome. And the fact that I was able to just take a deep breath on April 17th was birthday enough for me. Oftentimes, I feel like I wonder if I'm worthy because I wake up, the sun is shining, whether I ask it to or not most days, and I feel like people in my life, that are helping me again be a better version of myself. Now, there are a few things that I want to tell you all because, I discussed, turning down your good time. Sometimes I feel like, as it pertains to focusing on the haves, sometimes we focus on what other people are doing and their have instead of ours. What do we possess? What's inside of us that helps us to have a great time? Now, I'm going to tell on myself a bit. I don't know if you all know this, if you've never heard me before. I am a member of a fraternity. I'm a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, established and founded in 1906, okay? 1906. And and so sometimes as a part of our fraternity and part of our tradition, we do what we call, we step and we stroll, okay? Now, again, if you're wondering, Stan, what is stepping and what is strolling? As this broadcast, as you listen or as you watch, you can go on YouTube, you can go on Google, and you can Google 1906 or Alpha Phi Alpha stepping and strolling. Now, we're not the only ones who do it, but I'm just going to say we're the best at it, okay? Call me a little biased, but we're the best at it. All right, anyway, so we do what we call stepping and strolling. Now, typically, most guys, most fraternity members stop strolling at a certain age, okay? They stop strolling at a certain age, and certainly they do not stroll outside of parties, If we go to a college, if I were to go to a college party when I was younger, or let's say an event with alphas or other members of the Greek community there, you might find me stroll a time or two. But on a regular basis, I'm not going to be strolling. That's just not what cool older people do. We stop having a good time sometimes. Moreover, even recently, I even hate to say it, but again, I'm trying to be a better version of me, so I have to tell him myself. I was at a club. I was at a friend's club. He's a great guy. Adrian and Ren, shout out to you all. The Haven. I was at the Haven with my girlfriend. We're hanging out. We're having a good time. We're kicking it. Now, all of a sudden, I see in the distance, I see some guys that appear to be alphas. Now, you can sometimes tell by the way we act or emotions that we give or do there were alphas. Oh, there's some alphas over there. It's pretty cool. I'll also tell you that Adrian is a Kappa. He's a member of Kappa Alpha Psi. Okay, that's another fraternity out there. So Adrian and I are talking. We're hanging out. We're having a good time. And I look out and I see the alphas. Okay, the alphas. Some song came on that they liked. Okay, they were kicking it hard. It was a lot of them. They start strolling. They start strolling people. And I said to myself, I said, Self, what grown man starts strolling in a club? Who does that? We're too old for that. We don't do that anymore. The strolling is for the young people. That's what I'm saying to myself the entire time. Then I begin to tell Adrian. Adrian comes over to me. He's like, ha, 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 look at your boy strolling. We both got caught up in it, right? We both got caught up. We're like, I can't believe this. I didn't even want to meet the guys. I'm like, I don't know. This is embarrassing. This is embarrassing to see grown men stroll. They were having a blast, though. Let me tell you this. They did not care what was going on around them. They were kicking it. They were turned up. They were turned up completely. But I was so caught up being like, oh my, I was a cool guy. I was a dude that was too cool. So I actually turned down my good time a little bit, judging their good time. It was terrible, right? So I left. We laughed about it, whatever. Fast forward a few months. As I told you all recently, as I told you all earlier, it was just my birthday. Girlfriend flew my sister out for my birthday for my book signing. So we were hanging out on Friday. Friday was a great time. Had great music, great things. Actually, one of my fraternity brothers helped host at this particular lounge we went to. It was a great time, okay? A song comes on. When that song comes on, I lose my mind. I lose it, okay? I start dancing a little bit. Yeah, you heard me, right? I start dancing a little bit, and I'm a dancer. That I'm not ashamed of, but then you want to know what I started doing? I started strolling. Oh, yeah. And when I tell you I started strolling, I mean I started strolling. I strolled around the entire lounge, high-fiving strangers, waving at people I did not know, posing for pictures that I wasn't supposed to be in. I had a blast. When I tell you, this is the most I've strolled in at least 10 years, okay? And I strolled unapologetically. In my mind, I was saying to myself, Stan, why are you doing this? Why are you strolling? Old guys don't stroll. Stop it right now. My fraternity brother who was there, he saw how good of a time I was having. He jumped in with me. I said, right on, we're doing this together. I didn't apologize all night. I had an incredible time. It was nuts, right? Not once did I think about other folks and them having an issue with me having the kind of time I was having, the good time I was having. See the haves. See, when you're focusing on the haves, you begin to focus on all the good things that are within you, all the fun things that are within you. Now, whether I was in college or middle school or high school or 20 years from now, I feel like we should all do a better job of maintaining the haves, that fun that's within us that we can share with others, so we let others know that it's okay to have a good time. See, maybe for anyone that saw me there that gave me that weird look like, what are you doing? Maybe a month or two from now, they're going to have such a good time that they get out of their own skin and stop worrying about what other people are thinking of them and have the greatest time for themselves. It will be a long time before I ever forget the great time I had strolling and having fun and high-fiving people and getting out of my own way, which is a past podcast episode, What If We Got Out of Our Own Way? But the notion of focusing on the have. What do I have in me? I have good friends. And heck, in that particular place, I had good music. I had fun. I was having fun. I was focusing on the haves. You see those guys a few months ago at the club at the Haven that I went to? I feel like they were focusing on the haves. They weren't worried about anything else. They were focusing on what they had, what their haves were. Their haves included friends, themselves, a good vibe, good music, and they went with it. They didn't question it. They completely owned it. And it allowed me, as I thought back, to own it as well. I had such a good time. So I just want to encourage you all, as we move on a daily basis, that we begin to continue to stay out of our own way, continue to stay out of our own way, and focus on the haves. It's easy to try and be the cool dude, especially, or the cool girl, especially if you've never been that before. So we get in a position where we feel like it's cooler to just stand around and watch everyone else have a good time and forget that we are wherever we are to have a good time, whether it be at a lounge, at work, at a picnic, at a barbecue, whatever it is. Life is exactly what we make it, so we have to do a better job of focusing on our haves, making sure that we're focusing on the solutions and not the problems, not the issues. The solutions get you to the promised land. That journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step, and that one step is the solution. Focusing on that is major. I had to share that with you all. I had to tell on myself because I often remind myself as well that, Stan, you got to be better than you think you are. You got to be better than you think you are. I'll even go back further. When I lived in Laredo, Texas, I worked for a university. I worked for Texas A&M University. A great opportunity, great institution. One day there was an event sponsored by, actually I believe they were sponsored by the Campus Crusade. Had sponsored an event, and it was in the food court. Okay, so in the food court, they had some awesome music come on, and it wasn't I Will Survive. It was like, I don't know if this da 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 da. I don't know. I think maybe that is I Will Survive. Okay, maybe that is. Okay, so people are doing that now. I'm just chilling. I'm hanging out. I'm actually one of the advisors that's helped sponsor the event. I'm just there to advise. Everyone's dancing, and then people begin to do the leg kicks. Da, 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 right? Everyone is having a blast. I'm just chilling. And someone there, actually a group of people there, knew that I dance. They know that I love to dance. I salsa dance. I love Latin dance. And so they know that I dance, right? So they were like, Stan, we know this isn't Latin, but we know you love to dance. So come on, join us. I was like, nah, I'm good. I'm all right. I don't need to dance right now. I'm okay. I'm good. I don't know if it was because I was being the cool dude or I was just really in chill mode. I just was not in the mood to dance. And one of the people from the organization said, you know what you have? You know what God gave you? Like he gave you this. That's what you have that. You have the ability to do what we're doing and even do it better and have a good time while you do it. When they said that, it struck a nerve. I was like, huh. Am I not being who it is that I'm telling everybody else they should be in this moment? Am I forgetting what I have? So I began to focus on my have, and I got up. I did. I had to. I got up. I wanted to. And when I got up, we joined arms. You know, you put your hands in the arms, and you begin to do the leg kick. Now, I couldn't kick very high, but when I tell you I was committed, I had a great time. It was like we literally did it around. It was a blast. And in that moment, it only mattered about all the people that were there focusing on their haves. You see, as we continue to focus more on our haves, I believe that you'll have more. You see, celebrating life and focusing on the solution, not the problem, is also a tool. It's a gift. It's having that appreciation that we are in control of more than we think we are in control of. Celebrating life, focusing on the haves. Now, before we close out this episode of the Everyday Sexy podcast, I have to tell you this as well. Read the day after my birthday, okay? Because I'll tell you this, sometimes if you've ever celebrated your birthday, just enjoyed your birthday. Like on my birthday, I just chilled out. I mean, I just chilled out. It was great to be around incredible family, friends. It just made me feel so good. It made me feel so full. I was great at focusing on the have. You know what I mean? It was like I have all this in my life. You know, just give me more of this, right? So people were asking me, "What are you gonna do for your birthday?" I'm like, I'm just gonna do this. I'm gonna take a few deep breaths, and I'm gonna keep it moving. Like it just felt good, right? All right. So on the day after my birthday, I went to the tag office to renew my tags. This one might pull at you, all right, because it certainly pulled at me. So I went to the tag office to renew my tags. Now, just simple backstory to my tags. I've been trying to renew my tags for about a week. Here in Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia, where I am, we have to get emissions tests, pass emissions tests. I passed the emissions test. And then when I put it into the system, I wasn't able to do it online. It said it wasn't showing up. This one, over the course of a couple of days, this was going on. Finally, a couple days passed, Monday morning, the tag office is open. I go to the tag office. I'm like, can I, boom, boom. So I'm handling this. And I'm leaving the tag office, and I happen to open the door for 2 people, and then I open the door for a 3rd person coming in. It's like, no, it's cool, no problem. I'm in my zone, right? As I'm leaving the tag office, as I'm walking down the stairs, I see a couple people stop at their cars and put their tags on right away. And I said, well, I see we're all being responsible today. Now, I'll also tell you, at that time, I was wearing my Am I Too Sexy shirt. Now, again, if you go to Am I Too Sexy book, you'll know what I'm talking about. But I had on one of my Am I Too Sexy shirts. So when I said that, they're like, yeah, usually I'm a couple months late on this. One of the people had like January on their tags. It's April, whatever. And I said, I know what you're talking about. So when I turn around, one of the women goes, I love that shirt. I said, thank you. I appreciate it. They were like, take it off right now. What up? So we kind of laughed about it. I was like, you know what? But I have one with me. They were like, really? It's like, yeah, they're my shirts. Seriously? I'm like, absolutely. Can I buy one? Like, absolutely. I'd love for you to. We begin to walk to my truck, and as I walk to the truck, I go, because essentially, I don't necessarily want people to wear the Am I Too Sexy shirt without understanding what it means, what it's all about. It's not, some egotistical statement for anyone, and even if you've never heard of it before, that's not how you should take it, right? So anyway, we're walking to the car, and I go, yeah, this shirt is essentially, it's about the brand, and the brand is about the book, and the book is essentially teaching people how to find their sexy from the inside out. They're like, oh my God, that's super cool. And I said, thank you so much. And as a matter of fact, I also have a book. If you'd like a book, they said, no, it's okay. I'm not really into, reading books. I stick to magazines. I'm like, okay, that's fine. So I pop the trunk, give them a shirt. They go back to their car. I hop in my car. At this point, I'm about to head to a place called Arden's Garden to get me a shot of wheatgrass, get me a Grand Slam and a smoothie. I was trying to be healthy the day after my birthday, right? So while I'm doing that, I'm punching in the Waze app, to see what's going on, to see where it is. And then I see someone walking towards my car. I turn and look, and it's her again. I'm like, okay. I kind of open the door. I'm like, hey, what's up? Goes, can I have another shirt? My girlfriend would love this shirt. She would love this shirt. You think it's awesome. I got to get it from my girlfriend. She's going to be great. I'm like, all right, that's great, So her and her homie or roommate, she wants them to have shirts together. Like, that's great. Cool. No problem. Pop the trunk. And I go, thank you so very much. She's like, this shirt is so awesome. I kind of needed this today. I'm like, well, no, why do you think you needed this today? She's like, I'm actually headed to drug rehab tomorrow. Now imagine that the conversation turned that quickly, right? It would turn that quickly. It became just from a high level conversation to a direct life connection immediately, right? We're not just talking about, oh, what's your favorite color? This woman just told me that she's headed to drug rehab the next day. I said, really? I said, congratulations. And she's like, I don't know about congratulations. It's my second time going. I said, but you're going, you're here. Like you're going. And I said, what's inspiring you to go? What's inspiring you to go this second time? Why is it? And she goes, actually, I've been before, but I just want to have different things in my life. She said, I want to have a family. I want to have a husband. I want to have good friends. I want to have good people in my life. It's time to have those things. And I said, you can have all that. That's why you're going. She was kind of puzzled as to why I said congratulations. Like, that's one of your halves. Like, you're going to have more. You're going to be better today than you were. Like, that's why you're going. That's why you're here. It's super cool. And it was interesting. So she has both shirts. She's like, thank you. I'm kind of scared going back my second time. I'm like, there's no reason to fear this. There's no reason to fear being a better version of yourself. Even though all of us, we fear that. We fear being a better version of us so often. We don't know who we might be if we actually put our nose to the grind, if we actually push ourselves the way that we know we can push. And what if, right? What if we focused on our halves? So as our conversation closed out, I said, you know what? I said, I know you're not much of a reader. I said, I know you don't really like, reading books. You're more into magazines, but, I'm going to gift you a book. So I gave her one of the Am I Too Sexy books. When I handed her the book, she looked at it and she began to cry. She took off her sunglasses, began to cry, and I said, can I give you a hug? Are you okay? Gave her a hug. Thank you so much. This is exactly what I needed. I said, you know what? No, it's exactly what we needed. It's very interesting. So a week had went by. I'd been trying to get my car done. I've been trying to get, my emissions test finished. And I'd done everything I was supposed, right? I'd done everything right. But for whatever reason, the internet wasn't working. They didn't recognize it on the system, on the phone when I called them that morning. I go in to the tag office. I walk out. Boom, this moment begins to happen. What I'm convinced that all that drama happened with me trying to get to the truck and trying to get the tags. All that happened for that one moment. For me to come out, for me to meet that person, for that exchange to happen, for us both to leave focusing on our haves. What I'm asking you to do as you listen right now or as you watch this is to focus on your haves. It is not about us being a perfect people. It's simply about being a better version of you every single day, despite your trials and tribulations. I got back in my car and I just kind of sat in silence because often we don't know what people are going through. And up to that point, she seemed like an extremely happy person. I would have never have guessed that person was headed to drug rehab. I would have never guessed. Never. But here it was, that's exactly what's that. Matter of fact, she told me, she said, I got to be honest before, and this part of the reason it's pushing me is I've just been a miserable person. She said, people would irritate me. When I walked into a store, clerks would irritate me. Clothes would irritate me. She said, Stan, as a matter of fact, that shirt you have on would irritate me. Everything irritated me. I just couldn't have that anymore. That's what she said. That's what she said. Do you know anyone out there that everything irritates them? You know what I mean? It doesn't even have to be, people don't even have to do anything wrong to them. They're just mad. They walk in mad. That comes from a place. No one is just angry for no reason. Everyone is feeling something. When you get to the bottom of that something, you realize the root of whatever their cause and effect are. Now, once you realize the root of yours or someone else's, decide what you're going to do with that. We must focus on the haves. This birthday was one of the most special birthdays I've ever had, maybe because it was so enlightening. It opened me up. It made me full. It made me realize so many things that maybe I just kind of been tiptoeing around. It forced me to have more honest conversations with myself. The honest conversations are the painful ones, but they end up reaping the most reward. Not always easy, but absolutely necessary. Folks, as I'm going to tell you every single episode, the notion of everyday sexy is to find your sexy every single day. Find that self-esteem, that confidence, that piece of you that's going to make your business, your relationships, your life better every day. We have to be conscious of what we pursue and how we pursue it. If we're not consciously pursuing things that are good for us, we're just allowing what just might happen. We're just allowing things to happen to us. If we're just watching TV, not knowing what we're watching, just listening to music, not knowing what we're listening to, you're just allowing for those things to happen. You're allowing for things to get on you. Everything that you watch or everything that you listen to isn't great for you. Understand that. Otherwise, it will get all over you. And then once it gets all over you, what are you going to do? We have to be better at having preventive maintenance. We have to be preventive. We have to keep things from happening. And still, when they do happen, be ready for it. Knock it out. That's all I'm talking about. As my parents often say, you might have to have a checkup from the neck up. Maybe that's what this is about. Maybe listening to this, watching this is about your checkup from the neck up. This is not about a conversation that you're going to have with someone else or someone else is going to have with you. This is about you speaking to you. And what is that conversation going to be like? Are you going to be the best version of you? Or are you just going to continue to fake it without ever having the possibility or the wherewithal or the desire to make it? I want to say, and I highly advise that you fake it till you make it. Have that want to, that know-how, that desire to make it. But don't fake it without ever wanting to make it. That's not what we're here for. We were made for bigger and better. We're supposed to. People often laugh at me. I'm not gonna lie. People often laugh at me because I wear a lot of shirts that have either sayings on them. Now, for me, I like to be creative. I like to stay in my own skin as best as possible. But it's also part of my game plan. I feel like, shirts that say something make people think. So even if we're never going to speak, when you see me, I'm going to force you to think. I'm going to force you to have fun or think about something. So if it's my Am I Too Sexy shirt, if it's my Minion shirt that I love, the right people in my life, they realize that I love Minions. I'm a grown man and I love Minions. I love them. I'm saying it to you in the public eye and the public out there. I love Minions. Why? Minions are fun. I could be 80 years old and love Minions. I had a Minion themed birthday party last year. Thank you, baby. I had one of those. But I just feel like it's good to have good things around you. If it's something that you love, something that you enjoy, and it's good for you and everyone, why not own it? Why not? Why stop owning that which is a part of you? You'll end up being one of those angry folks because you're not being the best version of you. It happens all the time. You might end up studying. If you're in school right now, if you're in college right now, it's the very thing that can have you studying something that you don't want to study. It's the very thing that has you working somewhere that you don't want to work without any plan of moving. It's the same thing. It's the same thing that has me not focused on things that I should be focused on or working towards, that I know I can do. It's not even about not having the ability to do it. It's about not trusting and believing in yourself enough to move towards it. Focus on the haves. Focus on the haves. This episode is completely dedicated to focusing on the haves. Celebrating your life and everything around it that's good, and the bad things, learning from those. People, life is the realest thing you're ever going to do. So we have to do a better job of doing it right. Doesn't mean that you'll do it perfect. Just simply means you're going to do it better today than you did yesterday. Folks, thank you so very much for tuning in to this episode of the Everyday Sexy Podcast, focusing on the haves. Focus on the haves. Now, if you happen to know someone that needs to hear this, right? They may need, you know what? I have this friend that needs to listen to somebody that talks about focusing on the haves. Please share this, like this, share it again, retweet it, Facebook it, wherever it's going to be, wherever it's going to go, quote it. It's really all okay with me. I just feel like messages like this are something that we need to make sure it touches each and every person that we say we care about, because it's easy to be average. It takes extra to be extraordinary, which we all know. Again, my name is Stan Pearson II. And again, if you're looking for me, wondering who I am, if this is our first encounter, number one, thank you all so very much for trusting me with your time. I understand that time is one thing that's absolute. You can't get it back. So if you spend any time with me, I thank you from the bottom of my very humble heart. And I hope that we're able to do this. Again, tune into every episode of the Everyday Sexy Podcast. If you're on iTunes, simply search my name, Stan Pearson. That's STANPEARSON. You can search Everyday Sexy Podcast. It's on iTunes right now. Or you can go to Stitchers. It's on there as well if you search my name. Or you can go to Podcast Addict and it'll pop up there. And if none of those things work at all, simply go to stanpearson.com/podcast-2. stanpearson.com/podcast-2. And you will actually find my podcast, okay? It's a link there that'll take you straight to it. Or go to stanpearson.com and then click on the podcast link. It'll take you there. Got no excuses, people. No excuses. We're working towards it. One thing that I'm working on now is I've been listening, I want to say, to more podcasts and webinars than I have been music. And I love music. But I just want to gain some more knowledge, some more information, all things that are going to help strengthen the core of me, right? They're going to strengthen who I am from the inside out. Now, because I realize I'm not a perfect person, I'm simply a person trying to live perfectly, even though that's not going to happen. But what can happen is I'm definitely going to be better today than I was yesterday. And I'll also tell you this, I'm doing a better job of not focusing on or not comparing myself to the accomplishments of others. That's not my job. My job is not to compete with others. My job is to compete with myself. The problem is, if you compete with others, you might be holding the bar too low. You may not know that now, but you might be competing with others and holding the bar too low. So when you finally get ahead of them, you think you did something, but they weren't where you were supposed to be in the first place. You understand what I'm saying? Are you picking up what I'm putting down? Are you smelling what I'm cooking? I hope all that makes sense. Compete with you. Be upset with you. Drive you. That is what this is all about. And if you're on any social media avenue, that's Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Periscope, at The Real Stan P. That's all of my social media, at The Real Stan P. And if for whatever reason you'd like to follow me on my personal Facebook page, it's facebook.com/Stan Pearson II, Stan Pearson II. And if you're also wondering, where can I see some other awesome videos from this guy? Because he sounds like he's awesome at what he does. I hope that's what you said. You can simply go to youtube.com/Breathe Diversity. BREATHE Diversity, DIVERSITY. YouTube.com/Breathe Diversity, where there are more videos and uploads I've done, again, as tools as we continue to grow. I know I also have some people who are aspiring speakers who want to improve their speaking business or learn the speaking business. If you're watching this right now and you have a message that you think the world should hear, and I'm sure they need to hear it, because any life you can change is one worth changing, simply go to Facebook, and you can sign up you can apply to be in my Facebook group called Simply Speak University. Simply Speak University is a group of like-minded folks that are working on improving their their speaker life and creating a better platform and better subject matter and better books. I help people and I train people do all of the above, and that's a great free place where you can begin to get some content on how to be a better speaker in every way, shape, or form. So if you have the opportunity, simply go to Facebook and search Simply Speak University. I think that's everything. I thank you all so very much for tuning in to this episode of the Everyday Sexy podcast. If you know anyone that needs this, share this with them. Download this. I know I have some listeners all over this country. I have some in Asia, Korea, those places. So thank you very much for tuning in. Let's spread this word so we all, as a world, as a universe, continue to find our sexy from the inside out. If you're looking for that book, Stan, I got to find that book. Where can I find the book again? I'm glad you asked. Simply go to amitoosexybook.com. Go to amitoosexybook.com and you can find the Am I Too Sexy book. And you can also search Am I Too Sexy on Amazon. It'll be there. And if you go there, you'll actually be able to read some reviews, which I would love for you to do. Okay, read some reviews. Leave a review if you can. And also for my podcast, leave a review there. So much is gauged on the popularity of podcasts and so forth, and books on Amazon and products are based on your reviews. So if you love this, please let the world know. Thank you all so very much for being here. Have an incredible day. You are better than you think you are. You're good. You're great. You're worth it. And as I always say, this is Stan Pearson II. You heard it here first. Take care.